All right, folks, hear me? All right, folks, bear with me. I'm going to get a piece of here. Ingrid Elverde was one of the first people I met when I came to Petaluma. She took me to lunch as a new business to the area. I was impressed. And she introduced me to a number of people to help me start getting connected to my new community. She was just wonderfully gracious about that. She has created a marketing piece that I've seen in the San Francisco Business Times presenting Petaluma and its story and marketing it as a great place to do business. And she convinced local businesses to pay for it. It was a very impressive piece. She went on to create the Petaluma Star brand, which I think you now should be familiar with, and has created a wonderful newsletter that highlights the diverse businesses in our community. She's created several superb, and I'm in this business, so believe me, I know, marketing pieces for Petaluma.
Yes.
She's created programs to help local businesses with talent attraction. She's created a special portal and various online and hard copy tools to help prospective and local businesses interact with the city more easily. And when we did that mid-market survey that you've heard about, she was the most mentioned person. She is among the people who has done so much for Petaluma that it's really not possible to express it. So I introduce with the utmost admiration Ingrid Elverde, who's the head of our Office of Economic Development.
Let's give a big round of applause for Ingrid. And left and right button, and if you want to run with the mic, you're welcome to do it.
Thank you so much. Well, Suzanne told you everything I'm doing, so I'll try to give you some more information. I want to thank you all for inviting me back. I want to say this is probably the third time I've had the pleasure of speaking to you all, and it's always such a joy. Very joyful group. I wanted to start out I was thinking about, well, gee, it's been 8 years since I came to Petaluma, and I was thinking about sort of how long that is and how much work we've gotten done with great partners. And so, you know how when you see your friends and you see their kids and you realize how long it's been since the last time you've seen them? It kind of gives you a good reminder on time. So I thought this would be fun. You probably saw these. So this is what my daughter looked like when we moved to Petaluma 8 years ago, and that's her over on the right, and my son. He's 6'2". So they've come a long way. They love Petaluma, and so it's been 8 years, which has been really probably the most rewarding and satisfying of my career, and it makes me feel really good that we've been able to create tools and get out to our business so the business community here feels special and taken care of. That's my number one goal and always has been. So I thought I would start out with some stats because we all like stats. These are the indicators that we follow for economic development, or these are the number indicators. And as you can see, the numbers are looking really good. In 2011, things were tough. We had a lot of vacancies. Our taxes were way down. And so our initial goal was to make that better. And we have, with the help of a growing economy. So I'm personally not going to take credit for that. So I wanted just to show you a few stats. I think our real estate vacancies are down by, at least 50%. And our revenues are up quite a bit too, as you can see. Our TOT is up 100%. Sales tax is getting better. It's actually interesting and another presentation, but our sales tax is just about recovering to where it was before the recession. So it could be better, but we're getting there. So I thought I'd just take a quick moment to just give you an update and remind you what we've been up to. As Suzanne said, we've done a lot of educational materials. I'll go back through kind of what's not new but still exciting and important, and then a few new things that we're working on. The first thing is, if you've seen our Petaluma Star website, that was a portal we put together to help businesses get tools and get information about working and living in Petaluma. So the exciting thing is we are going to get to take that approach and redo the city's website. How many of you have gone to the city's website recently? How many of you found it really useful or friendly? Okay, here's one. So. It's pretty out of date, and it could benefit from some of the branding love that we were able to put for our business community. So we are going to be kicking that off. As many of you know, we have a new boss. We have a new city manager who started a few weeks ago, and so I got a new deadline on this assignment. So our goal is to have a launch on July 1. So I will be busy. But the goal of it will be to really make services easier to get, and then to make to help the community get more information about what's going on with the city, what's going on with the city's finances, what's going on with water resources, etc. So that'll be something to look forward to. I hope to come back and show you that. So my other question is, who's using our business marketing site? Has anyone referred anyone to it lately? Onita, only one? Well, you should, because there's a lot of great information in here. First of all, we have a ton of data and a ton of resources about being in the community. We have a lot of information about what it's like to be in the community. And then we have business resources. We have tools to help people find out about zoning and development. One of the biggest complaints when I came here is it's so hard to work with the city. Getting a permit takes forever and it's so expensive and I never understand what I'm doing. So this whole website is aimed at really clarifying and demystifying what it takes to get to launch a business here in Petaluma. So please, if you are working with startups or growing businesses, please let them know that this tool is there. I think one of my biggest challenges is just getting the word out about the tools that we have in place. So here's a new thing that's going to be coming soon. How many of you interact with the city and actually apply for permits for building development? So you're probably used to the old way, which is you design your development and you print out 1,000 sheets of paper and you roll them up in these giant rolls that require a dolly. And you drop them off at the city, and they get driven around to all of the various people that need to review them and driven back and handwritten on, which is a great way. It's a very low-tech way, and it works, but it's extremely inefficient, time-consuming, hard on our applicants. So another thing that we're working on in the background that should be launching soon is a new online portal for all permitting. Our plan is to convert all of our paper plan checking to digital plan checking, which is not a small feat, but I think it's completely possible and it'll be exciting. So the staff is already working on, they're learning how to read plans on the computer, how to make comments on those plans, but it allows us to collaborate. It's going to allow us to be able to collaborate as teams. We're all in different buildings. We can actually pull up the plans. We can all write our notes on one set of plans. And our development community can actually see those comments in real time and give us feedback. So our hope is that we make the permitting system easier and more friendly and ideally less expensive. So, will you do Vanna for me and pick up that flyer that's written in front of you? The green one. So one of the things that we've done is to make permitting easier, to make it easier for businesses to work as a city, is we've tried to make our processes more streamlined. We focused a lot on education and tools. Thank you. And we've looked at streamlining our rules. And one of the things that I learned pretty early on is that the development requirements that are in place are there for really good reasons. There's a lot of people who are very attached to them, and it's important. So getting rid of the California Environmental Quality Act wasn't something I was going to be able to tackle. So instead, what I've done is I'm putting together educational materials to help businesses understand what's involved in development and how to make the process a little easier. So as I mentioned, we've built several tools, which I'll talk about in a minute. But this is a new piece that we've put together. And this is really based on feedback I've gotten from our different departments. One of the biggest challenges, and this might sound crazy, but one of the bigger challenges we're having, especially in this time of very busy construction, is that people aren't always working with professionals that have their best interests in mind. Sometimes their design professionals are turning in incomplete plans just to get in the queue, keep things going. Or people are turning in complete plans because they don't really know what it takes to have a set of complete plans. A lot of entrepreneurs and startup businesses, they want to do everything on their own, which I really admire. But doing the design plans for your build out for your office or for your plant is a skill set all in and of itself. You guys, I know a lot of you here are financial consultants and other types of services, and if you have clients that say, I'll do my taxes myself, it'll be great, and you're thinking, no, don't do that. You'll save more money than it will cost you to pay a CPA. So this is basically 3 ways to expedite your business permits. And the first one is to do what you can to scope out your project, to really get clear on what you're trying to do and what it's going to take. So that's where we have tools in place, we have committees, we have meetings, we have an interactive tool where you can go online. Again, I don't know how many of you are launching businesses right now. I know you're well in your careers, but for those who are launching or growing, these tools are available. And the other thing is to remember to hire professionals. For what it's worth, the building code, I think, would fill up that whole wall over there. There's people whose job it is to understand that building code and understand how to make it work for you. So I definitely recommend hiring professionals and then making sure that your professionals are doing the work that they're supposed to be doing. So this helps give people a sense of time frame so you can plan for it, a sense of budget, and then surprisingly, there are a lot of different kinds of professionals that people can hire, and they don't all do everything. For instance, restaurants tend to be tricky permitting processes. I'm sure Oni knows. We've talked a lot about that. But the commercial kitchen design specialist can help you design a kitchen so that it meets the health department standards, but they aren't architects, and they don't tell you how to build your kitchen to meet current building codes. So we have several restaurants that are going round and round because their commercial kitchen specialist isn't designing to the current building code. So this piece is really meant to educate people in terms of who you need to hire, when you need to hire them, and also how to go about hiring them, how to background them, make sure you're getting good help. So I definitely recommend this. This is a brand new piece. We have all this information on our website too. So Suzanne likes to send me newspaper cutouts, and to save a stamp, she brought me one today, and it says "Firms quit California over costs." The median price. The median price of a home in the Bay Area is hovering around $1 million. So I think we all know that that's a major issue. And this has been going on for years. It's not brand new, but it's definitely getting worse. Recruiting talent has been challenging. And I think there's a couple of reasons. This is for our businesses. A couple of reasons is, one, it's expensive, but two, people that are in the Bay Area and potentially working in the city are actually they're afraid to move out of the core of the business, like financial district of San Francisco, to take a job up here in Petaluma, because what if that job doesn't work out? Like, where's their next job going to be? Or where's their spouse going to work? There's so many jobs in San Francisco, they can hop around from job to job. So it seems like a stretch to think about moving your career up here. And a lot of our businesses were, talking to talent and just couldn't convince them. So we actually, with the help of several businesses and lots of HR departments, we created a tool called the Career and Lifestyle Guide. And this is meant to help local employers attract talent to Petaluma. We can't make housing cheaper, but there's a lot about Petaluma to think about. When I lived in San Diego, they used to call it, living in San Diego was expensive, and they called it the sunshine tax. People paid more for housing, and it was not commensurate with their salaries because people were willing to pay more to live in the sunshine. So I think that in Petaluma, people are paying the carrying tax. When you live in Petaluma, you have a family, people care about you, your community operates on values, your businesses operate on values, and that is really special. And it's not that way everywhere. And our up and coming millennials, new workforce, they really care about values. They want to be in a place where they feel connected and they're doing things that matter. So when we talk about Petaluma, that is what we focus on. And I think just the fact that you're all here today and that we actually have 3 Rotary clubs, I think is a good tribute to the fact that there are pretty much everyone has some kind of giving as part of their daily life. That's sort of the DNA of Petaluma, and you can really feel it. I mean, it really feels different. So we're hoping that we've done that justice. It's a very hard story to tell in words, so we do it through pictures, we do it through stories, but this is a fabulous piece, and it also covers things like what's going on with local housing, what's going on with local schools, but it's really that why, answering the why. Why come up here and not just stay in San Francisco or in the Silicon Valley where the 20 other jobs that you could do are waiting for you. Okay, so this is not new, but I'm still really proud of it. This is our business toolkit. And we actually just did a major overhaul of it it's sort of at the end of this last year. And what this endeavors to do is explain permitting in what I call plain English. Things to do before signing the lease. So again, if you have friends that are looking around, they have a new idea, they're excited about their new business, and they're looking around for a space, there's a lot to think about before you sign a lease. People that I've met at the Small Business Development Center, they will write a business plan, they get it funded, and then they start ordering equipment, and they start thinking about their marketing strategy, and then they start looking for a space, and then they sign a lease, and then they come into the city. And that's really late in the planning process because there's so many things that could go wrong with that space and your plans that we've really got to fast forward. So one of my biggest efforts is to get to people earlier, to educate all of our counter staff about how important it is to bring things up early in people's scoping process. So this toolkit is extremely helpful. It now has a whole section on zoning, which I was talking to Elias about. If I could do, well, I would redo the California Environmental Quality Act. That's a toughie, but I would also make our zoning simpler because the truth is it's just really complicated. So this tool helps to explain, like, what is the zoning? How does it apply to me? Why do I care? Just helping people get knowledgeable about these things that they don't teach in business school, they don't teach at the Small Business Development Center, but there's this whole giant chunk of things that you have to do when you start a business. So that toolkit is new and available. I think at the Chamber has all these pieces of information. And the last one is we have an interactive tool, so you can actually go in and type in what your business is doing and get information about it. This is really helpful early in the scoping. And then the other thing is we have staff, and this is what people forget a lot. We actually have staff that have meetings once a week. We'll sit down with businesses and talk to you about your project and help you plan your steps. And this has been invaluable to so many different projects that come in. You'd be amazed at how many things you have to think about when you want to build a building. There's what's going on with the traffic, what's going on with the fire code, and what's going on with the landscaping, and is it saving water, and is it meeting all the current codes, and is it saving electricity, and what about the traffic, and how are you getting in, and the list goes on and on. I'm always amazed weekly. I've been doing this for 8 years, so you've seen that's been a long time. So anyways, we have a lot of tools. They're still here. We're perfecting them all the time. No big new launches until that city website launches this summer and the permitting system launches. But one thing I do want to tell you about, actually I have two things. One thing that's in the hopper is one theme has been resiliency during an emergency. So we're going to be partnering with the chamber to build a business response team for an emergency, and that's something we don't have here currently. So if there's an emergency, there's an earthquake or a fire or a flood, and and our businesses are affected, we need a team of people that can go out and find out what's going on with your business. Like 50% of businesses will go out of business because of an emergency, some kind of an emergency. So we want to make sure that's covered. But last but not least, I just want to tell you that the city's going to change up how it manages its goal setting process. Over the last 8 years that I've been here, about every 2 years, we do a goal setting session with the city council, and we review kind of our work plan for the 2 years. It's an exercise in making sure we don't have more work than we can manage to do with the staff that we have. And in the past, it's been a very, very sort of straightforward exercise. We develop a list, the council reviews it, we finish it. But this year, our new city manager really wants to shake things up. She wants to have a workshop. She wants to invite the entire community. She wants to have our whole community talk about what are our goals for the future. How are we accomplishing them? Are we even close? So this will be different. And I'll just tell you the date now and let you know that we'll be sending out invites hopefully in the next couple of days. April 6th is a Saturday from 9 to 4. We will be having sort of an all-day workshop talking about these goals, what we did in the past, what we hope to do in the future. And what's different is it's not going to be all of us just sitting at a meeting, listening to the council talk, but it's going to be an interactive workshop. We don't have all the details worked out yet, but we're flying the plane. We're building the plane while we fly it, so we'll have it all figured out in the next 2 weeks. And I hope to see you all there. Questions before? Yeah.
Actually, two questions. First of all, do you connect with and do you have your services provided to nonprofit agencies and the schools? And number two, do you actually work with the city planners in terms of the goals that you have to make it actually policy? To really make it.
Okay, so do I make our services available to nonprofits and schools? Yes and no. So schools operate under their own jurisdiction. So when they build buildings, they don't actually go through the city, they go through the state architect.
Well, I meant like recruiting people to Petaluma.
Oh, yes, no, we definitely work with schools, and actually, we've even taken our marketing approach to recruiting, and we're actually using it for city recruiting, because just like everyone else, we're having a hard time attracting enough talent. We've been losing a lot of great people to other cities that can pay more, and I think the police chief was here telling you about that. So again, what we're having to do is tell the story of why do you want to come be a public servant? Why do you want to come work for the city of Petaluma? Really answering that why. Because right now we're not going to win on price. So we have to win on something else. So the schools have been using these tools. And actually, we've been working with the healthcare center, helping to recruit doctors under the same things. In fact, there's even a story about a doctor who moved to Petaluma and talks about his experience with that. So definitely that's for sure happening. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
So you mentioned CEQA, which of course is
The California Environmental Quality Act, which I'm not against. I just think it could be streamlined.
city working with our local and state representatives to try to raise some modifications to CEQA. It's come up, so you're not going to get rid of it. But I know Scott Weir in San Francisco and others have talked about modifying it so it is a little bit more quote-unquote user-friendly. The
question is the city working with state representatives to help to help streamline the California Environmental Quality Act, which is a very important part of development review that can represent an obstacle to development. So like we need more housing, we need more commercial space, and this makes it harder. This is one of many things that makes it harder. And I'll answer it this way. As staff, we don't do any lobbying, but our council representatives do. I'm not privy to exactly what they're lobbying for, nor have I seen any letters, but it doesn't mean it isn't happening. I do know that we are working to update our CEQA guidelines and how we apply them in the city and streamlining our approach. So we're definitely trying to do everything we can within the parameters to make it more streamlined, more predictable, more transparent, and so hopefully we'll make some progress with that too.
Elias, did you have a question?
No, so
Okay, it's
got the-
like that.
Well, I want to thank you so much for inviting me here, and I hope this update was helpful and interesting, and I hope that you can share this news with your friends out in the business community. And if you want any copies of these, I can make them available. They're also all online at petalumastar.com.
I have one question. So
Yes.
if anybody in the city knows this, you would be the person. I appreciate the kind of the statistics. So I'm just kind of wondering, do you see over the last 8 years there's any trends with, hot new business or hot segments or hot parts of town? I mean, what do you see as this kind of stuff from your prism that we may not be aware of as just trends that have gone over the last 8 years? Is there any things that stand out? Maybe?
The biggest trend has been that Petaluma is a magnet for natural food companies, which may
I
or may
didn't
not
know
be
that.
surprising because we have some of the original natural food companies,
Yeah.
like Clover Stornetta being one, Strauss Family Creamery. But we have seen tremendous growth in natural food here. We have several businesses that have started small and grown large. We have kombucha, we have crackers, we have vegan cheese, several large food companies. And one of the things that we've done is we've created a food industry group that is countywide, where some of the larger, more established companies are sharing their skill sets with the growing companies to help them grow, and that's been extremely successful.
And space, I guess, is that the other side of the coin, is that it's always an issue to find space for these new businesses?
Right. We're almost out of industrial space.
Okay.
So that's something we'll be taking a look at.
Okay, well, Ingrid, thank you very much. It was a great presentation today. Wonderful.